Well, welcome to day 5. There's no driving in this video because we did a lot of driving today on day 5. So there's a separate video for that if you want to watch that. So we arrived this morning at Dunrobin Castle. It's a stately home in Sutherland in the Highland area and serves as the family seat of the Earl of Sutherland, chief of Clan Sutherland, located 1 mile north of Gulspie, overlooking Dominic Firth. So there's a falconry display. I'll let you watch that and then I'll get back to you. The origins of Dunrobin lie in the Middle Ages, but the current building and gardens were added by Sir Charles Barry between 1835 and 1850. Oh yes, the duck! Oh, she was so sweet, bless her. Some of the original building is visible in the interior courtyard, despite a number of expansions and alterations that made it the largest house in the north of Scotland. It was used as a boarding school from 1965 to 1972. Dunrobin has been open to the public since 1973. I am going to let you enjoy the falconry, and then I will be back to tell you about some more of the history of the house.
The hawk, by the way, the biggest question I get asked at Dunrobin, Andy, what's the difference between a hawk and a falcon? We're hoping to explain that to you all here this morning. Hawks have a different physique to the falcon. We also hunt in a completely different way. Now have a look at Hector's wings when he flies. I'd like you to notice he's got quite a broad wing, quite wide from the front edge to the back edge. Also, towards the edges of the hawk's wings, usually quite rounded, and he does have quite long legs, and also a very long tail compared to the falcon. Different physique totally. So hawks tend to be much more low-level hunters. This wing section, being broad and rounded towards the edges, enables the hawk to be almost a sprinter type of hunter. And as they hunt from tree height, they're almost like the sprinters of the bird of prey world. Now, this particular species of hawk, I'm not sure if you're aware, he's known as a harrisawk, everyone. And I'd like you to know that harrisawks are actually not native to Scotland or the UK. They're actually coming from the Americas. His native home would actually be the Arizona desert in America. Also, his range would be down through the Sonoran Desert, down through the Mojave, down through the arid coast of Mexico, and right down into Peru is where harrisawks come from. And I have 5 harrisawks helping me here at Dunrobin, hunting in the winter time and display work in the summertime. I do have 3 boys, and they're called Hector, Jose and Amigo. We have 2 girls called Aggie and Juanita. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but harrisawks, by the way, are the only birds of prey in the whole world that are gregarious in the wild. And that means they live and they hunt in packs in the western deserts of America. Have a look at Hector's tail. I'd like you to notice at the base here, he does have a large white patch. And this is utilised as a communication aid amongst the harrisawks when they're hunting together in their packs in the desert. Hector is capable of catching anything from a rabbit-sized mammal, anything down through the range of rodents. They do catch a lot of quail in the American desert, and I believe a lot of snakes in their diet also. But one of the hawks has found something to hunt in the desert as they spread out across the desert floor. This large white patch will be utilised as a communication aid. And as the hawks have found something to hunt, that tail will be flashed by the one who spied something to hunt, and that signals to all the other harrisawks around the desert floor, hey, come and help me, I found something to hunt. As they start to arrive to the hawk that's been flashing the tail, as they start to arrive in number, usually there's no more standing room on the cactus. And as they all arrive, there's no more standing room. With these long legs that the hawks have, they will utilise those to run around through the scrub of the desert floor instead of landing on the cactus. And as they run around underneath all the other hawks, they'll be helping to push out the game for all the other hawks. And that's how they work as a team in the wild. Quite often, I've been asked by the youngsters at Dunrobin who come, especially school children, and they ask, do you mean a bit like the velociraptors? Well, I'm thinking about that question, everyone. Let's face it, anything that lays an egg today is a direct descendant of a dinosaur. And these meat-eating predators, egg-laying, working cleverly as a team, who knows, we could be looking at the last remnants of those velociraptors. We just really don't know. But the harrisops gained a lot of popularity amongst falconers and only utilised as falconry birds since around the 1950s. And from there, from the 1950s, just like to scare people every now and then. After being utilised from about the 1950s, they've become very popular and it's because of their gregariousness. And just as an example of their gregariousness, some of my friends in the British Falconers Club, after harrisops and bred here domesticated aviaries for the purpose of falconry, have been invited by a farmer from the north of England by the British Falconers Club to come and help him clear a non-native grey squirrel. Poisoning in the wood, but by the falconers arriving with their harrisops 5 or 6 at a time and releasing them and walking through the woods like I do in the winter time, catching rabbits and pheasants. The hawks have been catching the non-native grey squirrel, and when that woodland has been eradicated, they are hoping for the English nature to get involved and reintroduce the red squirrel, which is native. But Hector here is actually a very serious hunting hawk. Hector can catch full-grown rabbits and also full-grown cock pheasants. So very useful bird Hector is. Now we do have a hunting scenario set up for you here this morning, and I'm going to exchange hawks quickly. I'm going to bring another hawk out called Amigo, his friend, and we're hoping to show you exactly how we would catch something such as a rabbit. So give me a second, we'll get Amigo ready next, and then we'll hopefully show you exactly how we would catch a rabbit in the winter time. Another male harrisops, quite chatty, as you can see. Amigo does mean friend in Spanish. Now we do have a pretend rabbit in the team of the basic seabird. I'm not sure if you're aware, rabbits can run at the speed of 35 miles per hour. And I'm hoping for you to see that the hawk can fly at 45. Now there's a young man in the audience who's very kindly agreed to help me with my demonstration this morning. And his name is Leo. So, young Leo, come and join me. Okay, Leo, grab this tree, but don't go just yet. Wait till I say. I'm going to take the hawk onto the side of the lawn, everyone, giving Leo a bit of a chance. Leo's about to attempt, everyone, to run down Dunrobin lawn at 35 miles per hour. And we're hoping to show you how we would catch a rabbit in the winter time. Good, Leo, on your marks. Get set. Go as fast as you can. Go, Leo. Go, go. Excellent. Yeah. The larger rabbit, which offering him something to eat right away, we can use to get him back on the club, the rabbit in the game bag, and off back into the wood. We carry on hunting for about an hour and a half. Now, you'll probably see that he's put his wings around that rabbit, and that's to protect it from any other predators where he comes from, seeing what he's got, such as coyotes or desert foxes. Let me see if he'll make the exchange. Handedness. Never ever steal food away from a hawk, by the way. You'll be in big trouble. By making a flight exchange, I can usually now hide the game in the bag. Releasing the hawk back into the tree, we can usually carry on hunting for about an hour and a half. Now I'm hoping for you all to notice, I'll bring Amigo a little bit closer to the crowd. He is starting to form a bump on his chest, but it's below his beak also. Now this bump is known as a crop. Let me give him a bit more. A bit short change. Now, I'm hoping you notice he does have a large bump forming on his chest, and below his beak, but on top of the chest area, is called a crop, and it's a storage area for food. All eagles, hawks and falcons do have a crop, but I'd like you all to be aware, owls, by the way, do not have crops. Even the largest of the eagle owls were never utilised for hunting by our ancestors because their food goes directly into their tummy and there's no open window to carry on hunting. Now, quite often, as we go out for an hour and a half, we have the hawk trained or tamed with myself and the dog. Those three predators, a dog and a hawk and a human being, can gather way more game in a very short period of time than each one of us could ever do on our own. And the dog's job is to find the game, the hawk's job is to catch it, but the human's job is to orchestrate between the two, flushing the game at the right moment in the hope that the hawk might catch the game. And this is how our ancestors would have put food on the table well before the invention of the gun by using these fantastic creatures. They noticed that the crop here, or the food that's in there, does not filter down to the digestion system for about an hour and a half, giving us an open window to carry on catching game for the table. Now in days gone by, it was the goshawk that was always renowned as the chef's bird, still living in the forests here in Scotland and throughout England, and much faster than the harrisawk. I have been out with one of my friend's goshawks in only an hour and a half. We did manage to catch 10 rabbits. So this is why the goshawk was renowned as the chef's bird. And quite often as we work through the woods and Hector's following me along, the dog will find another pheasant after we've caught 3 or 4 already. And as the dog goes onto a point, if Hector or Amigo are a bit further away, I'll call them over with a smaller piece of meat, getting their attention. And usually when they see the dog stiff and on point, they know game's going to be flushed. Up into the tree they go very cleverly. But after about an hour and a half, I'll move in sometimes and flush that game bird. Watch the pheasant flying through the trees. But no Amigo. I look back and Amigo's on the tallest branch of the tree with one leg up, looking down at me as if to say, why don't you catch that one down? I know then that that food that's in the storage area called the crop has started to filter down into his tummy. And this is when the hawk can't be bothered hunting anymore. That's the time to offer him something juicy like a nice piece of meat or a quail leg. Bring him down from the tree and let's walk home and be happy with what we've caught. But I'd like you all to know that the first writings of falconry were found in the 4th century. In Chinese, by the way, but nobody really knows exactly where falconry began. But as you travel down the silk routes and the trade routes, we very popular throughout medieval Europe. It became an excellent way to gather food for the table. And this is why the goshawk is renowned as the chef bird. You will catch way more game working at close quarters with a hawk like this than you ever will do a super fast falcon. But the next bird you have to fly to here at Dunrobin, in complete contrast to the hawk, is a falcon. So please give us a moment, we'll get the falcon ready for you next. Let's have a look at the shape because it is completely different to the hawk. I'd like you all to notice that falcons do have very long pointed wings compared to the hawks, a much shorter tail in relation to its body size, and also have a look at the falcon's legs, quite short and stumpy in comparison to the hawk. And the reason I'm showing you all the physical difference, I'd like you all to know that falcons hunt in a completely different way to the hawk. Falcons are masters of the sky. They are predominantly avian bird hunters only. He will not catch rabbits or rats, only other birds. Charlie, by the way, that's his name, he's actually a Lanner falcon, and we have a plaque down the bottom if you want to check. He comes from Africa, and in Africa, the falcon's favourite of all foods is sand grouse. This is what Charlie would be hunting in the wild, and he would not consider himself in a good hunting position until he's at least 500 or 600 feet in the sky. From there, the falcon will be using his whole body like a missile. As he falls from the sky at high speed, there'll be no flapping of wings. They'll be tucked by his side, and the two short stumpy legs also under the plumage with streamliners. The falcon will be using only his tail, like a ship's rudder, to guide himself towards the bird below. And as he encroaches, at the very last split second, out from under the undercarriage come the two short stumpy legs, both fists clenched like a boxer. As he flashes by that bird at high speed, he's delivering a very accurate, high impact blow to the back of the other bird's head, just like a boxer. When we go hunting in the winter time on the open moorland and flush game birds underneath Charlie, who's waiting in the sky, if he gets a direct hit on a game bird as he comes down, he can be travelling at speeds of around 200 miles per hour. This impact blow is connected, and normally he'll allow whack, and see one of the game birds fall stone dead into the heather. Charlie pulls away from the earth, shooting into the sky to lose his speed, and looking over his shoulder to see what he's knocked the game bird in, then lands on it. Now, when I arrive, Charlie's tame enough for me to pick him and the game bird up. I can usually see that the skull of the other bird is completely flattened. So taking out the central nervous system in one quick accurate blow is the trait of how a falcon hunts. Okay, I'm hoping you all get the idea. The next biggest question before we get Charlie in the air is, Andy, why is Charlie wearing a leather crash helmet? It's called a hood. It's the most useful tool a falconer has at his disposal, and it was devised by our ancestors to help them travel the hunting hawks and falcons from the villages to the hunting ground, and they would have done this by horseback or camelback. Now this might have been distressing for the hawks or falcons, so the hood was used. But even though today we go in a modern vehicle, on the trip to the open moorland, if pigeons were to fly past the vehicle, falcons and hawks do not understand modern glass. If pigeons were to fly past, they quite often do, Charlie would think the hunt was on, and he'd be breaking his lovely feathers up against the inside of the glass, getting himself in a bit of a state. It's the falconer's job to keep the hawk stress-free with the hood, but also in perfect feather condition. Because if Charlie's to catch wild game, he has to be as fit as a wild falcon, tame with me, and also in perfect feather. This is the use of the hood. Let's get on with the flying. Now Charlie's eyes do adjust to the light almost immediately. And I'm going to be using today in my bag some small pieces of meat to throw in the air for Charlie. As we talk about falcons, we're hoping Charlie will come in and out the display. And that's what he thinks of the display so far. Now, talk to you about falcons compared to the hawks. I'll be using these small pieces of meat, everyone, to throw over the audience. I'm hoping for Charlie to come right over the tops of your heads, and hoping you might get a good shot of him as he comes by. When Charlie comes directly over your heads, everyone, I'd like to know it's probably not a good idea to do this. Charlie does sometimes drop these small pieces of meat. Charlie, his favourite food in Africa is sandgrass. Charlie would be looking for a large column of rising air called a thermal. And just like we take a lift to the top of a large building, he's using no energy whatsoever to gain height in the sky. And once he's in a thermal, he can be gaining heights of up to 800 to 1,000 feet with no energy used. Predators like lions and cheetahs of the sky, the falcons are very conservative about their energy. Charlie's at the top of the thermal with his excellent eyesight miles and miles, and he'll be looking for water holes where sand grouse would drink or areas they may feed. And as he spies them, he will glide over the top of the position. Once he's in a good position, he will start this large dive. Speed and surprise is the way a falcon likes to hunt. Now, when we go hunting with the falcons, we do go to the open moorland instead of the woods back here, and we use the leather hooks to place onto the bird's head so we can travel in the vehicle. But that's in the afternoon after we've flown the hawks through the woods, and we place the falcon onto a wooden cadge or a frame. This frame is rectangular in shape and has short legs. I can load up to 8 falcons onto the cadge and place it into the vehicle. We then put our dog, the favourite hunting dog, the English pointer, in the vehicle also. And as we drive to the open moor and arrive, the frame is taken from the car, the cadge. Then I can step inside that frame, and around my waist with 2 short braces, I can easily walk the moor with up to 8 hunting falcons. The dog is released and he starts to work into the heather, but also into the wind. And as he moves forward, he does quarter left and he does quarter right. When the dog manages to smell game birds for the falcon, he goes on to a special point, just like a statue. Just on a special point, just like this, like a statue. And he'll stay like that for up to an hour or more. When I see the dog do this, this is when I know it's time to release the falcon. But quite often, I haven't seen him because I've lost him behind a hill. But as soon as I see this, I can then put the frame on the floor, hit the first falcon's hook off the cadge, and by releasing the braces, I let the falcon see that the dog has game ready to hunt. Charlie then leaves the glove and he flies around us in a circle, but starts his climb into the sky to his proper hunting pitch. Charlie will go from anywhere between 7 and 800 feet. As the falcon makes his way in the sky, I do not want to disturb the game birds in front of the dog. So I walk around the moor in a very large half semicircle. As I come round the moor, I'm watching Charlie getting higher and higher in the sky. And I'm hoping to come right round the moor without disturbing the game and be stood in a position with the wind coming from my back but going towards that dog's nose. The game bird should be somewhere in the middle. I then wait for the boss to give me the signal of when to flush the game. And in this game, it's the falcon that's the boss, and the human being is the servant on the floor. When Charlie's ready, he will stop flopping his wings and raising height in the sky. He will fix his wings, just like a glider, like this. And that is the falcon's signal to the servant on the floor. Flush my game for me now, falconer. I'm ready. On Charlie's signal, I then start moving towards the dog, where should be the red grouse in the middle, and they live in groups called coveys of 6 to 12. As I get too close to the grouse, all of a sudden they burst out the heather at my feet, and I shout to the boss, "Hey!" On the moor, this means your dinner is served, sir. And that is my job, to serve the falcon his game. The dog's job's finished, my job's finished. We now watch the unfolding drama as the falcon falls from the sky at high speed. Those grouse are already speeding down the moor at 60, 70 miles per hour. And as the falcon falls from the sky, he's using only his tail to guide himself. And he gets closer and closer to those grouse. He's also getting faster and faster. And you would probably all think it's a foregone conclusion. I'd like you all to know exactly what I've seen on the moor. I've seen the grouse coming past. I've seen the falcon gaining in great speed on the grouse. And if I was a grouse in slow motion, everyone, at the last minute, I've seen them do this trick. I've seen them do a barrel roll in the air. The falcon missed the head strike. We missed by a bit of 200 miles per hour. I've seen the falcon shoot straight past the grouse and they've done this trick manoeuvre of a barrel roll. When they right themselves and the falcon's missed, they all go laughing and cackling as they go back into the heather. Now I've seen the grouse do other tricks. As they come down the moor with the falcon about to strike, I've seen the grouse pull up their wing feathers, drop down and up to the sky, and the falcon go whizzing over the top, and we've missed again. I've seen the grouse do other tricks, pulling the tail feathers like a fan, jump up a notch, and the falcon go whizzing underneath, and we've missed again. Now, I'd like you all to know, everyone, when we go on the hill with the falcons, we only manage to catch about 1 in every 10 goes. And when I tell this to people, they say, "Andy, why would you bother?" I'd like you all to know, it's not about putting lots of game in the bag with a little falcon like Charlie. It's about watching Charlie at super high speeds fall from the sky with these accurate head impact shots, hitting against the game bird that's so clever and wily. Only every now and then can we manage to bring one to book. But when Charlie gets a direct headshot on a grouse, I'll often hear a very loud ring out across the moor. One of the game birds falls stone dead into the heather. Charlie pulls up into the sky to lose his speed and lands on his prize grouse. Now this could be over a kilometre away from where we started. And usually in the winter time, on a cold winter's day on the moor, this is when the dog and I have been watching the unfolding drama. And the dog normally turns to me then and he looks me directly in the eyes. He usually then starts licking his chops. Because he knows he's going to get a nice warm bit of offal from the grouse carcass we've just taken. Now, that dog runs through the heather to join Charlie, and he waits there next to him patiently. Waiting for me patiently to arrive and dish out the offal. By the dog doing so, he's now providing Charlie with a free bodyguard on the moor. He's protecting Charlie from any wild dogs and eagles, any foxes that might be lurking in the heather, or any other predators that might want to bring him harm. Now, a lot of people ask me at the display, "And what do these red grouse look like?" Well, everyone, while you're on holiday here in Scotland, you must be going for at least one nice meal somewhere. When you order your meal, why don't you ask the local barman to get down from the shelf for you? famous grouse whiskey bottle. On that whiskey bottle is depicted a lovely picture of exactly what a red grouse looks like. And if you drink that bottle like I do, you should see many more. Okay, let me bring Charlie up. I'll come a bit closer to the crowd with him. And this is how we retrieve the falcon when we've not managed to catch any game. The lure is a piece of leather with some meat tied to it. And if Charlie's not managed to catch a grouse, this is his next best option of food. So this is how I recall the falcon. Now we'll be taking Charlie down the bottom of the lawn behind the ropes, everyone. If anybody would like a nice picture of Charlie, or to ask me any questions about falconry or what you see in the display, I'll be there for you all as long as you like. My partner Florence is a fountain of knowledge on owls. She has one of the owls down the bottom. She also speaks perfect German and perfect French if anyone would like a translation of the display. We do have a small donation box on the side if anyone would like to help us with veterinary fees. We'd be most grateful, but we'd like to say thank you to everyone for coming down to our display here this morning. We at Manor Falcon, we hope you did enjoy the birds and the information. And more than that, everyone, we hope you have a fantastic holiday here in Scotland. That is the end of this morning.
Whose son William, some say to have descended from the house of Moray by the female line. The castle may have been built on the site of an early medieval fort, but the oldest surviving portion with an iron yet is the first mentioned in 1401. The earliest castle was a square keep with walls over 6 feet thick. This keep, unusually, the ceilings of each floor were formed of stone vaults rather than being timber. The castle is thought to have been named after Robert Sutherland, 6th Earl of Sutherland, around 1444. All right, so Dunrobin was built in the midst of a tribal society with Norse and Gaelic in use at the same time. Robert the Bruce planted the Gordons, who supported his claim to the crown, at Huntly and were created the Earls of Huntly in 1445. The earldom was passed to the Gordon family in the 16th century, when the 8th Earl of Sutherland gave his daughter in marriage to Adam Gordon. After the 8th Earl died in 1508, Elizabeth's elder brother was named heir to the title, but a writ of idiocy brought against him and his younger brother by the Gordons meant that the possession of the estate went to Adam Gordon in 1512. In 1518, in the absence of Adam Gordon, the castle was captured by Alexander Sutherland, the legitimate heir to the earldom of Sutherland. However, the Gordons quickly retook the castle, captured Alexander, and placed his head on a spear on top of the castle tower. Alexander's son, John, made an attempt on the castle in 1550, but was killed in the garden. During a more peaceful 17th century, the keep was extended with the addition of a large house built around a courtyard to the southwest. During the Jacobite rising of, oh dear, is that 1714? I've missed a number. I've got 174. Let's go with 1714. The Jacobites under Charles Edward Stuart stormed Dunrobin Castle without warning. Because the clan Sutherland supported the British government, the 17th Earl of Sutherland, who had changed his surname from Gordon to Sutherland, narrowly escaped them by sneaking through a back door. He sailed for Aberdeen, where he joined the Duke of Cumberland's army. It's autocorrected Duke to Duck so many times. This is awful. On the death of the 18th Earl in 1766, the house passed to his daughter Elizabeth, who married the politician George Leveson Fowler, later made the first Duke of Sutherland. In 1785, the house was altered and extended again. Between 1835 and 1850, Sir Charles Barry remodeled the castle in the Scottish baronial style for the second Duke of Sutherland. Barry had been the architect for the Palace of Westminster and was in high demand. He was influenced by his recently completed Italiante garden at Trentham, the Duke's English seat. The 14th century tower, as well as the 17th century and 18th century extensions, were retained and survive along with the Barry's 19th century work. Dunrobin Castle Railway Station was opened in 1870 as a private station for the castle. During the First World War, the building was used as a Royal Naval Hospital when a fire in 1915 damaged the roof and much of the interior, but it was confined to the newer additions by Barry. Scottish architect Sir Robert Lorimer was engaged to renovate the house following the war. From the 1920s, the increasing cost of employment led to jobs such as pollarding of neglected trees. The fifth Duke of Sutherland died in 1963. The earldom of the house went to his niece, the 24th Countess of Sutherland, while the dukedom had to pass to a male heir. Between 1965 and 1972, as I said, the house became a boarding school for boys, taking on 40 boys and 5 teachers in its first year. After this, the house was then opened to the public with private accommodation retained for the use of the Sutherland family. You've watched the falconry display, which was delightful. And then onwards, upwards, we had 2 long drives today. I've put them in a separate video so you can watch them separately. There's no music. You can just listen to your own music. And then we'll move on to Ardverikie. Welcome to Ardverikie. This is a 19th century Scottish baronial house in Kinloch Laggan. The house was made famous as the fictional Glen Bogle estate in the BBC series Monarch of the Glen, which ran from the year 2000 to 2005, I believe. The lands historically belonged to Clan MacPherson. The 29th chief, Ewan MacPherson, leased Ben Alder and Ardverikie in 1844 to the second Marquess of Abercorn and Ulster Scots peer. He was a trendsetter in the emerging interest in deer stalking in Scotland. The Marquess expanded the original shooting lodge. He served as groom of the stool to Prince Albert. Prince Albert and Queen Victoria spent 3 weeks at Ardverikie in the late summer of 1847. In 1860, Lord Abercorn transferred the lease to Lord Henry Bentinck, another stalking enthusiast who lived here until his death in 1870. Sir John Ramsden purchased the Ardverikie and Ben Alder forests in 1871 for £107,000, about $12 million in 2023. In 1873, the house was destroyed by fire and was rebuilt from 1874 to 1878. Rebuilt in the popular Scottish baronial style, designed by architect John Rind. Ramsden's son, Sir John Freshaville Ramsden, inherited the lands after his father's death in 1914. The majority of the land was sold off following the 2 World Wars, and in 1956, Sir John transferred the Ardverikie estate to a family company under the chairmanship of his son, Sir William Pennington Ramsden. The company, Ardverikie Estate Limited, still owns and manages the estate today. They rent cottages and believe the property for weddings, but it is a very well-known filming location, most recognized, of course, as Glen Bogle Estate in Monarch of the Glen from 2000 to 2005. It is also used in Miss Marple, A Murder is Announced, Mrs. Brown in 1997, Salmon Fishing in the Yemen 2011, Outlaw King 2018, and most recently it was featured in Outlander for the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th seasons, along with representing Balmoral Castle in the series The Crown. I don't think it was in Outlander that much. I think I've got Outlander and The Crown mixed up. Please correct me. I do apologize. Anyways, that's it. That's all, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!